Hello and welcome to another episode of the TES Secondary Maths Resource of the Week with me, Craig Barton. Now, those of you who've been with me on this Resource of the Week series for the last flipping next 6 years now, I think it is, will know I'm a bit of a sucker when it comes to something fancy on Excel. And I've featured some incredible resources over the years, random question generators that have the answers there and so on. Just Excel can do some wonderful things. I'm in absolute awe of people who can do fancy stuff on Excel. Well, this particular one, compared to some of the others, perhaps isn't the fanciest thing you've ever seen, but it serves a very specific need, and that's why I've chose it for my resource of the week. Because I was putting together a lesson plan for students, year 9 students, on mean from a frequency table. And I just wanted some examples to give kids, an example for me to go through, examples for kids to practice and so on. And you know when you're just looking for something specific and you find it and it is flipping a brilliant feeling? Well, that's exactly what happened here. It did exactly what I wanted it to do. So I thought it might be useful to share just in case it's something that you are looking for as well. So it has been created by AR Mathematics. It is an Excel file, and when you download it, it looks like this. Now, I've purposely not done any fiddling around with this now because some people have a difficulty actually opening and accessing fancy Excel files. So first thing I need to do is enable editing. So I give that a click. But then the other thing I need to do is this. Macros have been disabled, so I need to enable those. Sometimes if you do this in schools, you don't have the permission to do that, and you have to see the tech guys. So just watch out for that. So here it is. It's a very, very simple resource. I say simple, I won't have a flipping clue how to build this myself, but it looks really simple. So estimate the mean number of letters in a word. So it's simply a table for the kids to fill out to estimate the mean. But what's nice about it is this: you can reveal answers as you go. So total frequency, give that a click and that appears there. All the midpoints, give that a click, that appears there. Frequency times midpoints, there we go. Total frequency times midpoint, and then if we click on mean, we get the answer there. So all well and good, but how are you going to use this? Well, I thought of 4 ways, and 4 ways that I am definitely going to use this resource. The first is the most obvious, and that's for an example for going through with kids. However, what I would do with this, if I just click new question there, and I should say, look at that, by the way, now we changed to grapes, we've got a brand new question. I can click that to my heart's content. What I should say here is, if I was going through an example with students for the first time, I wouldn't be using it in its Excel format. I would take a screenshot, get me a little snipping tool out, and I will be clipping round this particular table, and I would be putting that into a PowerPoint or into, if you've got Active Studio or whatever, and I'd be using that to get the pen out, and I'd be annotating, labeling, and so on. Because I think there's a danger, obviously, when going through an example for the first time, you're just clicking left, right, and centre. The kids don't have a flipping clue what's going on. By all means, I come back to the Excel file to check answers and show kids that the answers are right and that Excel agrees with us. But yeah, I use this to kind of snip round, get a table, and then I'm up and running. Second thing, though, is when I want kids to practice stuff, I will certainly be using this Excel file. And I've come up with quite a little fancy way of doing this. I'm quite proud of myself here. As I say, I'm useless when it comes to Excel, but see if you find this useful. So if I just minimize that, and if I just go to the Excel file itself, if you copy that, so just do a little copy, but let's just call it something like V2. Then what you can actually do is, if you crack open V2, we've now actually got 2 Excel files open. So let me just enable that and enable that. This is live, anything could go wrong here, but I'm feeling relatively confident. If I just put that on one side of my screen and that on the other, and I just move that across, and maybe I just need to zoom out a little bit and move that across. Zoom out a little bit. Then what have I got here? Well, in fact, I've actually got 2 questions for the kids to do. And there's nothing stopping me splitting my screen into 4. So I can actually have a question top left, a question top right, a question bottom left, and a question bottom right. The advantage of that is kids have got practice. The kids are off working away. But at any stage, I can just project up the answer to different bits of different questions. So there's nothing wrong with using this for kids to practice, but don't think all kids have to be working at the same pace. You can get 4 questions relatively easily with a bit of zooming and a bit of renaming of files projected up on the board at the same time. No printing for you, kids are working away, and you've got access to the answers. So I thought that was a really, really nice feature. So that's the second way I'd use it, for kids to get some practice. The third way is this is ideal for creating homeworks or low stakes tests out of. Again, using the snipping tool, snip round a particular question, paste it into a Word doc or whatever. There's a homework for the kids. But also at the same time, click all the yellow buttons, make sure you've got the answers, keep a little paste of that and save that for yourself. So you don't have to come up with the answers yourself. You don't have to come up with a mark scheme or anything like that. This will generate you the questions and the answers. But then there's a fourth way, and here's my favourite way of using this resource. Anytime I get something like this, which I can just project straight on the screen in a flash, I think to myself, perfect for spacing, perfect for interleaving. So, have you ever been there? You've taught kids something, you've absolutely nailed estimating mean from group frequency, they've been brilliant at it at the time. 3 weeks later, 2 months later, they come to do it in the test, they're flipping useless. It's like they've never seen it before. Well, that's because they've forgotten it. That's because they've not tested retrieval. So many studies have shown that spacing, that instead of mass practicing, spreading out that practice over different time intervals, can have a huge beneficial impact on students' retention and learning of a topic. So let's use this for that. Get this saved on your desktop, and then every 3 weeks, give a little double click, fire up an example and say, right, before we start on today's lesson on ratio or probability or whatever, just convince me that you can fill this out. Just work out the estimated mean for this. If you do that every 3 weeks or every 5 weeks or whatever it may be, and start building this up with other topics, it just keeps things fresh in kids' minds. It keeps forcing them to retrieve information, which is so good for memory and learning. So yeah, 4 different ways that I would use this resource. That's for going through examples myself, giving kids practice, creating homeworks and tests, and then for optimal spacing, for just chucking this at kids at different time intervals, not just at the time they're actually studying the topic. So that's why I love this resource. I hope you like it too. Give it a download, and if you do, give it a review and share a nice comment with the author for creating it. And I'll see you for a fresh resource of the week next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now.